The time is 3:27. We are back on the record.
Okay, and I forget, Mr. Geist, did I already send over the links to the videos?
The 3 videos.
Yes.
Yes, I have those.
Okay, perfect. All right. Okay, so we'll go in order, I believe, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Give me one moment and I'll share that.
Okay. Um,
Oh, hold on one second. All right.
Okay, let's see if I can.
You don't do anything?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you.
There we go. Okay. Okay, can you guys see the screen okay? So,
Let me see if I can. I'll full screen it for you.
oh, perfect. Okay. Okay, Mr. Kennedy, we're going to take a look at the videos that were done with Matthew Morning. Do you recall making those videos?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I'm going to play just a little bit of the intro. Oh, sorry. Let me play.
We are live on the
Okay, sorry. And I'm going to mark these as our next exhibits. I think we're on 32. Does that sound right, Ms. Steller? Yes, okay, thanks. Okay. Okay, and for the record, this is Bates number from our production, GES_Records_0000007. So 6 zeros and a 7.
Earth plane and physical bodies. My name is Matthew, and this is episode 3 of a very important special project we're calling Cosmic Redemption, the Corey Goode Accountability Project. And over the past couple days, we have been privileged to receive some very, very important testimony about an ongoing investigation into the individual we all know, Mr. Corey Goode of the Sphere Being Alliance. And as many of you know by now, if you found this video, you will be very much aware of what we call the cult of personality surrounding Mr. Corey Goode. And I want to start out today by saying the whole aim of this series is not to debunk the secret space program. It is not to debunk the testimony of Mr. Corey Goode. It is not to, on any level, destroy any of that timeline or that story or that information. What we are talking about here today, ladies and gentlemen, is truth, the frequency of truth, and what has essentially become a predatory force within the disclosure and ascension community.
Okay. Mr. Kennedy, do you know what ongoing investigation Mr. Mornian is talking about at the beginning of this video?
I can't go into the specifics of his ongoing investigation. No, I didn't have that conversation with him, Val.
Okay. And was it Mr. Morney? I believe you said earlier that it was Mr. Morney that approached you. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And I believe Ms. Youngblood's testimony yesterday was that this was something that Mr. Mornian had done in response to something that Liz Laurie had set up. Are you familiar with that? Does that sound right, or do you not know?
No, that sounds right.
Okay. And did you speak with Ms. Laurie at all when you were making these videos?
I did not. I didn't want to speak with her.
And did you know Mr. Mornian before these videos?
I did not.
And so in August of 2019, I was brought into what is essentially the Forward Action Committee as a human intermediary working as basically an intelligence contractor on behalf of an astral intelligence agency, one of the actual galactic councils that is assisting with the disclosure process and the ascension process for those of us in this soul group. And so we have been given direct authorization by Spirit to engage and begin to tell the true story of what is essentially, for the records.
Are you familiar with anything called the Forward Action Committee?
I'm not, Val.
Okay.
You're setting out to do. I want to explain to the people that because there are so many specific facts and dates and layers to this, to stay precise, I will mostly read from one of my statements, and then you and I can go back and forth at certain points and I'll answer your questions or listen to your comments. So for those of you in the community, by now tens of thousands of you through social media have heard that I am being sued by Corey Goode. But I must say, not just sued, but an assorted, sensationalized grab bag of anything that he and his lying attorneys could think of to say. These are slanderous, career-ending, character assassination type accusations without presenting one shred of truth to back up anything that he has accused me of. There was never any embezzlement. There was never any lack of transparency or business damage caused by me. I have been transparent and followed through with all requests. Watch this, including sending Corey's own personal CPA all records of accounting immediately after Corey's request, and ample documentation to support all of my claims and prove false the many blatant lies and accusations from Corey and his attorney will be presented by me today. I must say that his attorneys will write out any lie that he instructs them to submit, once again, without one shred of truth. I have boxes and folders full of documentation. So since Corey claims to be this hero, this defender of the light, then let's shine some light now for this entire community to view. Right now,
I just want to address a couple of points in that first statement. Have we received the statement that you're reading from in this video, Mr. Kennedy?
Have you received it?
Yes, has it been?
Was it, no?
You can send it to me, we send it.
Okay. I don't think you have, Val.
Okay, would you mind sending that over to us?
I'll send it to you. I have no problem with that.
Okay. Do you believe all attorneys are liars, Mr. Kennedy?
Objection, argumentative, improper.
But I do want to answer. When First of all, I didn't say all attorneys. I've worked with attorneys, Val, since I was 15 years old. But specifically here, when Liz Laurie can write up, and maybe you wrote it too, that I kept Corey from obtaining attorneys, that's a lie. And how could it be written when I never kept him from getting attorneys? As a matter of fact, I hired 3 different attorneys for Corey. I hired Dan Meacham, I hired Bennett, and what's Cassandra's last name? The cyber attorney. We'll look up her name. Cassandra Kirk, I believe her name.
Kirk.
Now, Liz interacted with those attorneys. Corey interacted with those attorneys. So now how in the heck can you say I kept him away from attorneys when I hired 3 and they interacted with them? It's a blatant lie. Liz went on to ask me to put in a good word with Dan Meacham so that maybe she could be hired by his firm because he was a big time attorney. So it's a blatant lie to say that Kennedy kept Goode from obtaining attorneys when they interacted with the attorneys, and I have proof.
Understood.
That's what I'm addressing.
Understood.
Now, on the air, I challenge the Corey Goode to act like a man, not hide behind his attorneys, but face me, Corey, on camera with someone mutually chosen to act as a moderator, and then let's go down each accusation. And I say to this community, I will surgically cut through every falsity with our documented facts, emails, time codes, calendars, and eyewitnesses. So Matthew, right here, do you have any questions?
Well, actually, you know what? From the very start, I will say no questions yet, Leon, but I do have some comments. First of all, I really appreciate the specificity. I appreciate the wealth of information. I appreciate the intense amount of.
And I'm going to be skipping through a lot of what Matthew says because he says a lot of stuff and we'll be here all night if
Okay.
As it takes to finally get to court. I am eager for this to be tried in the court of public opinion. I say let this community be the courtroom. And those of you in this community, you be the judge. And I am certainly not opposed to having a chosen panel of trusted leaders in this community brought in to act as arbitrators for these disputes. And also, if we're truth seekers, if we're seekers of light, then why would we want to go outside to the outside court system to have them take care of and make opinions on what takes place in this community? Should we not judge ourselves? Should we not be accountable to one another? In addition to ministry, because I've been in ministry now for the past 20 years, more so as a hybrid of my ministry, part of my spiritual destiny was to come back into this truth-seeking community and use my God-given gifts, those gifts that brought me much success in Hollywood as a writer, producer, director, to use those talents and my 50 years worth of experience to do what I now term transformational films, television series, documentaries, movies, and use my expertise to produce projects that send out uncompromised messages.
I just want to address your comment about not going through the court system and preferring to go through the court of public opinion. Wouldn't you agree that there are some instances where the tensions are so high that sometimes you have to go through the legal system in order to get to the bottom of things?
Objection, argumentative, incomplete hypothetical. You can answer.
But I'm going to answer your question, Val. And I will say that you have your point of view because you are an attorney and you've spent many years in higher education to become an attorney, and you're a good one. I can say this from working with you before. However, in this case, it's been over 2 years, and this court has still never even addressed the first issue. That's number one. Number two, because we are in a metaphysical, spiritual community, no, I think it's much better to address these things in front of the community. The Bible says, face your accusers. And Corey calls himself the defender of light. I don't see any problem at all with us sitting down like men and going over these accusations. And I think that if we had a group of peers, that is the way to settle this thing. It's been not 2.5 years, but close to 2 years now. It's dragged on far too long. And as far as I'm concerned, the legal system has failed us. There's been a lot of wasted time. There's been a lot of wasted money, and we still have gotten nowhere. Now, from my point of view, Corey gets donations. I don't get donations. Close to $100,000 now for me to be dealing with this absurdity. So no, the legal system has failed me in this situation.
Understood. And it would surprise you if I told you that Mr. Goode has not received any donations for quite a while now?
Well, he was online a couple weeks ago, right before the depositions, saying, we've got depositions, donate. So I think he got something, that's number one. And whatever he got in the past, according to Liz Laurie, it was quite substantial. He certainly has gotten more than me. I didn't ask for donations. This money that I'm spending has come out of my retirement, after-tax dollars. I'm 74 years old, Val. I don't really need to be wasting my retirement money on this type of nonsense. Because as I said, there's not one shred of evidence to back up any of these accusations, whether it be embezzlement, whether it be Kennedy kept him from attorneys, whether it be Kennedy asserted himself into Goode's business. No, it was the other way around. Kennedy, there were complaints that people didn't get paid on time. There's not been one shred of truth in anything that's been said, and I'm really tired of it.
Understood.
Further, it's important that I explain to those of you listening today and later reading my statement, that I explain my heart set and my mindset, which is the average life expectancy for an African-American male is 75.5 years old. I just turned 72 years old this year. So according to statistics, I only have 3.5 years left. Now this scares my wife when I say that.
I think you got a lot more, my friend. Don't worry.
Prayerfully, I plan on living beyond that life expectancy. But here's what I want to say to the community though. It is a sobering fact that when you reach a certain age, you hear about your contemporaries in business and associates or classmates leaving this planet on a weekly basis. You get that type of news. And so, Matthew, it becomes very sobering. And your mindset becomes quite different than someone in their 30s or 40s or even in your 50s. So therefore, if you have any wisdom at all, you pay more attention to make sure that you've learned, or at least are attempting to learn, your life lessons. You're grappling with questions like, why am I here at this particular time? And what did I come back to do? And you're trying to discover and then live and work within your spiritual destiny. And most of you are trying to create good karma. Certainly not bad. Therefore, everything that I do or don't do within my total life, including business practices, has to be done within my spiritual integrity. No amount of money, no matter how many millions of dollars, no particular deal, no achievement is worth me squandering my spiritual integrity. And there
So we've talked a lot about today, and I've heard a different, you know, I've heard kind of a different approach than, to be honest, than what I expected. And it sounds to me that you had originally, you know, wanted to settle this, and unfortunately those that information wasn't passed along from, you know, one of your intermediaries. But I think, you know, and my question that I was going to ask is probably already answered, but I mean, do you think that there's a point to actually settle this and get it, you know, get it good between the parties?
Objection, improper question. That's not something you're supposed to ask in a deposition. You know that, counsel, but my client's probably going to answer.
Yes, I'd like to answer.
Counsel, we already spoke about that, but thank you for that.
I'd like to answer. Well, I would love to settle. I think that enough is enough. I would like Corey to go on and have a good life and a good career. I would hope that maybe at some point we could talk. Like I said, I had a great love for him. And I've said in this deposition over and over and over, I've seen his potential. I said there's a good side and a dark side to Corey, but that good side, if it could just be concentrated on and harvested, he's got so much to offer to the world. That's what I would like to see happen. If you saw one of my letters to him, even when we were falling out, I wrote to him, and at the end of the writing, I said, and that good side of Corey is the side that I love Corey. And I'd like to see more of that side. And, well, maybe it's the ministry side of me. I really always try to see the spirit of redemption. Even with myself. Well, I work on myself every day. Part of my daily prayer is, Lord, take this life and make it into something worthwhile for you. I say that every single day. I am here to serve. I am here to try and help people reach the higher side of themselves. So yes, I would like to sit down and work this out.
criminally devised ways to manipulate and drive down their stock. Could have been perceived as an incredulous, laughable character, yet they gave him a home and a platform. Gaia TV spent millions to promote him. And what did Corey do? When he did not receive all that he wanted from them, some have suspected, and it is being investigated, that he criminally devised ways to manipulate and drive down their stock.
I want to pause you right there, Leon, and I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but I think this is something that
So I just want to address the criminally investigated for driving down stock. Where does that come from?
It came from different sources speaking. It also came from Corey having an absolute delight every time that Gaia's stock went down. He would let the team know that and get great pleasure in it. And I don't really want to talk too much about it, Val, because I know that there's another lawsuit. And so therefore, I'd rather not make any further comments.
Okay, so is there a criminal investigation going on?
Objection, calls for speculation, foundation, go ahead.
As Lyndon said, it's speculative, but these are things that have been in the rumor mill. There are other people that have said they're surprised already that Corey hasn't ended up in prison for a variety of things.
Okay, but as you sit here today, you haven't heard that from any law enforcement that's actually something that's going on?
What are you saying, Lyndon?
You can answer that.
I haven't talked to law enforcement. As a matter of fact, people had talked to me about going to the Attorney General about Corey, because for the amount of money that has been taken out of the funds here that should have gone to the team, it has amounted to a felony as far as the amount. I did not go to the Attorney General. There's a lot of things, Val, that I could still do that I haven't done. And I'll just leave it at that.
Corey Smith, when Corey did not want them to take their own TV show, just because Corey was no longer a part of it. Master manipulator Corey was intimidating and forcing Emery and David to do his will, basically stating, if I'm not on the show, no one's doing the show. Basically stating, if I'm not on this conference, we're picketing the conference, we're going to close down the conference. Basically stating, hey, you know, David Wilcock, I'm not on the conference this year. You shouldn't do it either. And here's why.
I think people need to hear this, Leon, because there's.
So we kind of already talked about this earlier. You know, with the cease and desist that was sent out, you know, that was something that was done with David's knowledge, right? Do you still think? Yeah. Do you still think that?
I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Do you still think, you know, with this knowledge now, that was an improper move?
What was an improper move, please?
To send out the cease and desists.
That Corey should have not sent out the cease and desist? Is that what you're asking me? Well, it depends on whose view one is looking at it from. To me, Corey is very manipulative at times. You know, we were looking at the one exhibit, but we didn't look at the other one. But the other one said, I explained I never planned on suing Gaia, but was using the threat of a larger suit as a linchpin to get them to agree not to put on LARPers on cosmic disclosure. I'm still surprised that he is still expressing, talking about David, the same concern. And then Corey went on to say, to be clear, I never planned to file suit on Gaia other than the possible troll on them showing the new LARPers on the shelf. So Corey is classically manipulative. He manipulates even the court system, and he's done it several times. So I do stand by that. But if we're talking about maybe trying to settle, I don't want to get into any harsher situations or statements.
Sure. So in terms of when Mr. Goode left Gaia, and you know, as you know, and as you stated earlier, he story that's you know, new, and it grabs you and it pulls you in, and then he brings it to Gaia, and then he leaves. You know, isn't that
Can you speak into the mic, Val? You're getting a little muddy, please.
Sure. So he took this story to Gaia that you testified earlier that you were pulled in by as well. And he put it out on the air and made them a lot of money. And then he's forced to leave by Gaia. Wouldn't it make sense for him to protect that story that he took there?
But there's many different answers to that. In other words, how do you protect yourself? Are you protecting yourself by slandering others and smearing others that might take some of the spotlight from you? I don't think that is the right way to go about things. As far as protecting himself with some of the trademarks, then perhaps that was something that needed to be done. Now, once again, Val, you were involved with the trademarks. I wasn't. So, you know, I'm not really one to go into specifics on that. So, see, I'm giving you a yes and no answer here.
It's okay, I'm a lawyer. We do that a lot. Okay. Let's see. Cannot get that to come up. For some reason,
People every day that I see ruin this show. There's
I don't know why it's doing that.
Online course. I saw him begging many of you out there for money for his legal defense fund, which is ironic that he'd be begging money, because way back in January of 2020, David Wilcock told me that Corey had already collected over $150,000 from his online teaching course way back in January. As of this,
50,000.
pardon me?
I just think that's important to state. He had already made $150,000 on a course that, you know, it's proven he didn't even write it. He didn't even do it. Go ahead.
As of this taping, Liz Laurie, his former attorney, has stated that Corey has made over $700,000 from his online course. And she should know because she's the one that helped mount it. So I must ask all of you, what was his need to beg all of you for money for his defense fund while he's sitting on a pile of newfound money?
It's a good question. Where did all that money go? I think a lot of people are going to be asking that question after this, Leon.
What is ironic is that Corey is the one manipulating the court systems as he sues companies and individuals, and then he sympathetically portrays himself to you, the community, as the victim to pay for his lawsuits that he initiated. It's sick and it's a sham. So now that we're talking about shams, let's talk about his Light Warrior Legal Fund.
Okay, so, when you heard that he had made $150,000 on the course, and then it was $700,000. Were both of those statements from Liz Laurie?
No, Val, the first one was from David Wilcox,
Right, I'm sorry.
150,000.
And for some reason, the timing's off a little bit with that. It would, that I didn't intend, and we've talked about that a lot. But what I wanted to focus in on was the allegation that's been thrown around without, I haven't seen any documentation about there being all these amounts of money that are coming from somewhere. And I'm trying to figure out where that came from, the $150,000 and the $700,000. Is that data from something Liz Laurie said, or is it from somebody else?
Okay, so let me answer this. The 150,000 statement came from David Wilcox. And that was more toward the beginning of when the online course came out. The $700,000 statement came from Liz Laurie on her videotape statement that came out at about the same time this statement came out. As a matter of fact, it came out 2 weeks prior.
Okay.
And Liz was the former attorney, and she's the one that did the online course. So it seems like that's a good quote.
Understood. And you'll have to bear with me on this next timestamp because I feel like it's off.
For the highest good of all. So what does Corey want? What does he think is fair?
Good question.
We were then told, watch this, Corey did not want to negotiate or settle. So now we must ask the question, if a person doesn't want something or know what they want, what is the point of a lawsuit?
Ooh, that's a very good
So
question.
now here's the answer, because it has become quite evident that Corey does not want to settle any lawsuit. Why? Because Corey is living off the Light Warrior Legal Defense Fund. That's why.
I believe it. We've seen
As
this
some
time and time again.
large-
Go ahead. Sorry.
As some large and then many numerous mid-sized donations come in, and they continue to come in, only a small portion of these funds goes toward actual legal fees.
So going back to that Mr. Goode didn't want to settle, was that Mr. D'Souza that told you that?
That he did not want to settle?
Correct.
Was that your question? Yes, that's what we were told at the very beginning when we made overtures as to what does Corey want? You know, it seems that when someone's suing someone, they have an idea of what they want. So that's when we made those overtures, Phil.
Okay. And that Mr. Goode was living off the Warrior Light Fund, was that something that Ms. Laurie said as well?
I don't remember her entire long statement long enough to specifically answer that as such, Val.
But you don't recall who you heard that from?
I don't recall whether she said that or not.
Okay.
But here was one of the points that I was trying to make. With this Legal Light Defense Fund, Corey maintains that he's defending himself from the dark forces and from the cabal. My point is this. He's the one that initiated these lawsuits with Gaia, Jay Widener, myself, Roger, Adrian. We're not the cabal. We're not the dark forces. So where's the cabal? Where's the dark forces? How's he defending himself if he's the one initiating the lawsuits? And then he's always threatening new lawsuits of people. As recently as several months ago, when the Journey to Truth boys did some conference or something, it was said that Corey didn't like something that was going on, and basically he threatened them with a lawsuit. So those were my points. Why so many lawsuits? Why are they drug out? And who is he defending himself from?
So who said that he wanted to sue Journey to Truth?
I believe they did.
So Journey to Truth said in a public statement that that Corey wanted to sue them?
I'm not really sure if it was a public statement or not.
And who is Journey to Truth? I'm not familiar with them.
I'm not overly familiar with them. I just know that they had a conference and that, you know, this was said regarding their conference. I'm not overly familiar with them, though.
Okay. Do you know any of the names? I've never heard of Journey to Truth. At least if I have, I don't recall.
No, I don't know their names.
Okay. Okay. Was there anybody else that told you that Mr. Goode never wanted to settle?
Well, Corey has made statements that he wanted to wear people out, that he wanted to teach people a lesson, that he wanted to wear them down by attrition when it's come to these lawsuits. He's made those statements, that he wants to punish people, that I'm not really sure whether it was directed toward Jay Widener or something, but there was one statement that Corey made, I'm going to take everything he has, statements to that effect. And it's very threatening. A lot of people in this community, quite frankly, are afraid of Corey. They don't want to overstep anything at all. They don't want to speak out. They're living in fear of the tyranny that Corey has caused in a lot of cases. And I'm sorry to say that, but nevertheless, it's the truth.
And were these statements that you heard directly from Corey, or were they statements that were just thrown around?
The statement of I want to teach them a lesson, that's in one of my emails from Corey. I'm going to teach them a lesson. I'm pretty sure that it was online, and Adrian, I told you I'm not a social media person. Adrian was better at collecting things than me, but she had stated on several occasions that Corey said he wanted to wear us out and other people by attrition. In other words, just keep the case going on and on and on, draining us of money while he's getting the donations. So yeah, there's statements out there.
Okay.
And out if it doesn't benefit him. But let me keep going down this road about this fund, because you hit on something. The truth is, Corey needs to drag out his current lawsuits, watch this, for as long as possible, and even create new lawsuits to continue his public, I need money for my legal funds to fight the cabal Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
So in terms of drawing out the lawsuit, are you aware that it's actually been defendants that have asked for all but 2 of the extensions in this case?
Section vague.
My lawyer is sitting here saying it's vague, and I'm not really sure of due process, Val, as far as the extensions and so on and so forth. I know that the court is very backed up. I know that this should not have taken close to 2 years. I have asked for even the mandatory type settlement that the court is supposed to provide for free. We were denied on that by the court. This thing has gone on and on and on. And you said something very pertinent several hours ago where, well, Leon, you're not aware that we've made different settlement offers to you. No, I wasn't aware. So I'm glad that we've had this face-to-face today, so that now I am aware, and hopefully some conclusions can be drawn.
Like a son. But here's a word of caution. There's another very dark personality. Corey has a saying, if you're not with me, you're against me. So anyone or any company that does not fit into his agenda, or if he deems them an obstacle, there is, watch this, a spirit of rage and a spirit of vindictiveness that comes out that totally consumes the dark Corey. He goes into watch this, a military style operation and will do anything, and I emphasize anything, no matter how despicable, to completely destroy that company or individual. And this is easily ascertained as we continue to outline his decade-long history of actions. I see you want have something to say.
I certainly do.
So in terms of the military style operation to completely destroy, it sounded like you were pretty upset about that. What do you mean by that?
Let me try to explain this the best I can. I never vetted Corey as far as checking him out before going to work with him. I took David Wilcock at his word. Corey needs some help. He's a nice guy. He has different projects, and you could be of benefit to him and Roger. It was only after the lawsuit, Val, that I heard all these different people coming to me about some of the atrocities that had been perpetuated upon them from Corey. And I go back to saying everybody can't be lying and everybody can't be wrong. If I had known that, all these different battles, I've got a list of 26 people in this community that have gotten cease and desist or lawsuit threats or whatever. A lot of people have been hurt. A lot of people have been damaged. If I had known all of this, I would have never gotten involved because it's been too many people, it's been too messy, and there's been too much bad energy. I didn't know about these things until after the lawsuit came out, and then all these people came to me. Quite frankly, I was so busy trying to put big meetings together, and like I said, and keep saying, I don't pay attention to social media. I didn't know anything about the doxing scandal until it was finally brought to my attention. I didn't know a lot of things that were going on until after the fact.
And I just wanted to ask again, I mean, the people that have come to you and said these things, I mean, do they have any concrete proof, or are they just, you know, saying,
Well, there's something out right now called The Real Story of Corey Goode. And this guy went into a lot of detail of the various things that Corey has done, whether it was surfing through the Bill Ryan, and I'm forgetting the name of the original thing, Blue Avian, or I'm forgetting the name of it. But at any rate, accusing Corey of plagiarism, and then going into great detail of Corey having people stalk this man and harass him. There are many, many stories like this now. And this gentleman, it's over an hour. I wouldn't call it a documentary, but it's over an hour expose that goes into a lot of detail of the various things that Corey has done. And so many different people in this community do have their stories. And as I said a few sentences earlier, there are a lot of people in this community that are totally afraid of him because of what he's done to other people.
We take a 5-minute break, please, council?
sure, that's fine.
The time is 4:19. We're now off the record.